But Laura, I was wondering if we could take another phrase that Lenin uses in this book and kind of dissect it a little bit. He says the withering away of the state. What does that mean?
Good question. So as Paroka has explained really well, the state is about, fundamentally, it's about repression and about keeping the class in power. It's about backing them up, you know. And it has all sorts of elements to it, as Paroka explained there, but, you know, there is the very clear repressive element. And times of class struggle, that's when it's most obvious why, you know, in Ireland during the COVID crisis, the Debenhams workers, retail workers who launched a huge battle against corporate greed were arrested and physically dragged from the picket lines, including a pregnant woman worker, you know, while the COVID crisis was raging. So if the state's about repression, then, you know, our socialist vision and our viewpoint and our perspective for what kind of society we want, and Lenin's summed it up by actually saying it will be a society without coercion, without subordination, without the special apparatus for coercion called the state. So an incredibly democratic vision of what sort of society we want and we're fighting for, and we believe is possible, right? So if there's no class division, if there's no different classes, a classless society would not need a state because it wouldn't need repression. Marxists have something in common with like left-wing socialist anarchists in that, like, our vision for what sort of society we want to achieve is the same. But I think that the difference is around how Lenin explained how the withering away of the state would be achieved after quite a significant working class battle has been waged. That would include if you have to build a working class movement, revolt and revolutionary struggle from below that goes head to head with the capitalist state that wants to smash all its repressive and coercive apparatus and take power into the hands of the working class, including by taking the key sources of wealth, the key levers of the capitalist economy, taking that into public hands, taking that into the hands of the working class movement. That is going to, you're going to need to have a state to defend that gain. But the question is that you know, as Paroka explained, your state is going to be built on the basis of that movement, on the basis of that struggle, and an alternative democratic source of power, including you know, democratically arming the working class engaged in revolution. We can see in Myanmar how necessary that is. It's not some abstract thing when you can see the real reality of the working class struggle against this brutal system at play. The repression that's necessary would be a repression to prevent the ruling class from taking back power from the capitalists who are not just going to give up without a fight. So actually, that's the sort of state that's necessary. But if you know, this is a fundamental international battle for the rights and ascendancy of the working class, poor and oppressed all around the world. And, you know, the revolutions in one country will as it did 100 years ago, even in Lenin's time, will give huge impetus to the revolutionary struggles in other countries and so on. And in that context, you will have the movement fundamentally for socialist change and fundamentally to disempower the ruling class in capitalism and to begin to build a socialist alternative. And the withering away of the state is, you're talking about a time where you know, there's no want, there's no poverty, there's no need for it. We know the wealth's there. We know that working class people are capable, and ordinary people, the masses, are capable of having a society that's democratic, that the needs of people are catered for, and so on. That's the context in which, over a long period of time, you'd actually have a classless society without the need for any repression. So the no need for a state. So this is something that you know, Marx and Lenin Lenin and so on, that their idea was always that for something that would develop over time, and if you like, it's for future generations. Our role now is to ensure that we have the right program, and anarchists don't, because they see correctly that the state is repressive, but they don't have a clear view of why it's repressive. It's not the state flows from the concrete need of the ruling class to keep power, and that's where it's, you know, the battle against the state is inevitably a battle against the capitalist class in all of its, including the political establishment. We will use, by the way, every single opportunity available to us within the current system and state to raise our program. And, you know, if we can get in Ireland, we have a member of parliament, if we put forward a, you know, socialist working class program and fight in that without any allusions to the parliament and so on, but always with a clear-sighted vision of what the state is, that the working class movement, and the need to fight it. And also that revolutionary change is going to require the working class to form its own democratic structures and organisation, in order to forward the interests of socialist change all around the world.